Ooh, in this video, I want to talk about um, how, what did I title it? Oh, everybody wants the destination, but nobody wants to be lost. I feel like for me, I don't know. Like, I think this is what I believe. I believe that it's the nomadic lifestyle in me of my ancestors that is running through my blood and the intelligence of that allows me to use ancestral wisdom encoded within my DNA to navigate certain things in life, sometimes without fear. But that lack of fear comes with the understanding that I have of what's functioning and running through me, and using where I come from as a way to understand how the journey can unfold in itself. Because usually, this is what sometimes in life we think this is how life is. There's point A and point B, and we think to get to point A to point B is just a straight line. But sometimes that's the way from point A to point B is like, and a lot of us, I say, want the destination but don't want to get lost. But a lot of us are fearful of getting lost, not realizing sometimes to get to the destination in life, you need to allow yourself to be comfortable in being lost and sometimes not knowing. And part of what's going to carry you to your ultimate destination sometimes is surrendering to the feeling of feeling lost. But the thing is, you're not lost. You're allowing something greater than you to guide you along the way. And that's why for me, I will say, like, I always had a strong connection to myself and my inner knowing, my inner being, where like sometimes I understood that I'm getting intuitive nudges to go do things or see people or hang out with someone or get to know someone or go to an environment with the understanding of like, I'm not just getting these urges for no reason. Like, it's definitely something guiding me to look at this a little bit more. And I don't know, when we also look at like the fact of reality and like how in this world there's also so many beings of us, like I love physics, quantum physics, and I think that stuff is pretty entertaining, and how there's like multiple versions of us operating in this world all on different timelines. And if that is the case, then to me, what I look at it as, like, when I get inclinations to go do something or intuitive hits, that's my higher self throwing me nudges as guidance to of where to go next. And I feel like when we embrace the beauty of life of just being lost to get to the destination, we're able to embrace so many teachers along the way. And I fully like given up a long time ago, like this idea of teachers only existing in classrooms and that teachers are like literally everywhere around us. And I realized that also at some point in my life when I gave up and literally just surrendered to life and like really valued the journey of like, I don't believe that I'm lost. Not That's why I love that quote that says not all those who are lost, or not all those who wander are lost. Because sometimes in wandering, your responsibility is not to figure out the journey, or like, um, yeah, it's not the point of figure out. It's not to figure out the journey. It's just to experience the journey. And if you worry about where does this take me, what am I gonna like, bro? You just fucking shut up, and you're stressing yourself over shit that don't even matter, you know. But the reason why I say this ties to like my nomadic lifestyle is in the sense of like, when I look back at my ancestors, right? They were people of the nomadic lands. They had intuitive and ancestral things guiding them of like when to move. They knew how to read the environment, the weather, the animals, and there were so many skills that were being used to be able to do simple things like migrations or seasonal changes or knowing where rain was going to happen. Without, and the thing is, with no tools other than just instinctive like knowing from their bodies. And so when I relate that to my own life, I'm like, sometimes when I conform myself to the thinkings of just how we should navigate things, which is kind of like a strict plan that's already planned for us of like, go to elementary school, middle school, high school, college, get married, da, 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 like, that feels very predictable. That is something chosen for me. But what does it mean to live like a nomad? Like, they didn't live in predictability. They just knew at some points they get up and move. At some points they have to figure out where the water is. Seasons are going to change, blah, blah, blah. But they're moving in a way where, like, they understand where the destination of everything is at the end of the day. But they're willing to get lost. Like, they don't know how they're going to get there. They just rely on this knowing. and being able to utilize the environment around them. So for me, I like to apply those same frameworks and wisdom within my life, because that is wisdom. When I'm negating the wisdom passed down to my people through me, I'm also negating like really powerful skills that are actually like contributing to the actions that I'm taking, but I'm just not acknowledging it. But when I do acknowledge, I'm able to like see, oh, this is great skills to have. This is like superpowers. This is superpowers, and they make things like this easier to navigate. Of like, when I'm able to sit with the question of like, yeah, how come a lot of us really want to get to our destinations, but not a lot of us want to get lost? How do we reframe what it means to be lost? How did a nomad look at that? How do they navigate things like that? How can I incorporate those teachings and wisdoms that they use to my life now, especially in a new world where I don't live there anymore, where I don't even live like that? But I know that the wisdom is still in my bodies and it comes through me, but how do I channel that? You know? And I don't know, I feel like it's really cool ways to look at life, and I've realized that I've discovered the most things about my life and about people when I was willing to get lost. And sometimes I don't know, that is the journey of it all. Like, why would I want things planned out? Like, I feel like there's certain things to plan out. And also, like, okay, I remember, like, okay, let me look it up. Well, how would I call it? What would I call it? Well, it was this thing of like, also, I think it's a very African thing where like African, even the concept of like African timing. But one thing about that is I have a hard time like sometimes transitioning into a culture that is like so time based, and like everything has to be on the time. We can't be 1 second off, 1 second early because capitalism. But when people didn't really operate on the basis of time in the ways that we do because of capitalism, there was different ways people bonded with time. And there was a lot more like autonomy to how people moved and engaged with things. And sometimes like I like also thinking about that of like and I also see how it makes it difficult to engage with some people sometimes, because sometimes being on that crunch time with time doesn't really allow you to move in space in the ways that is needed sometimes. And that also made me think about, oh, I need to look at time differently, and relate to time differently. And sometimes people who are very stern with time, like I have a hard time blending with that. And I was doing some research on this, and oh my God, let me see if I can find that article. So, okay, it was the concept kind of around African time. It is a cultural concept that refers to flexibility, rational approach to time rather than a rigid clock-centered one. At its core, African timing prioritizes people, presence, and context over schedule. Here's what that means more clearly. Time is rational, not mechanical. Events start when the right people arrive, when the energy feels ready, or when a situation has fully unfolded, not simply because a clock says so. Conversations are finished properly, elders are greeted fully, transitions are honored. Being late isn't disrespectful. Rushing can be. In many African cultures, showing up late is not automatically seen as careless. What is disrespectful is cutting somebody off, skipping greetings, or prioritizing a schedule over human connection. Time bends to relationship, not the other way around. Life happens in cycles, not slots. African timing aligns more with natural rhythms, day and night, seasons, emotional readiness, communal flow, rather than segments blocked like 15-minute meetings. You move when the moment is complete. Presence meets more than punctuality. If you arrive late but are fully present, engaged, and respectful, you're considered on time in spirit. Showing up on time but distracted, rushed, or cold can be seen as improper. And then this is why it clashes with Western culture. Western culture, especially white-centered and capitalistic culture, teaches time as currency, something to spend, save, waste, or lose. African timing treats time as shared space. This is why Africans or people of African descent are often unfairly labeled as late or unprofessional in Western systems that don't value rational depth. In short, African time is not about being late. It's about honoring human rhythm over industrial clocks. So the reason why I said that was very important, and I think really important for me to understand, especially as an African, is because the innate clock of my body's rhythm is in alignment to what my ancestors' rhythm was. And when I think about that more deeply, that means we're aligned to other things that are outside of this clock that you've designed so that you can get me in and out of fucking slaving, you know? And when I understood that, it made me be more okay with how I view my relationship to time and space. And it kind of leaves this anxiety or this guilt feeling that you have of like, oh, if I'm not doing this by this age or I'm not here by this time, like I'm not doing things right or I'm behind on life, you know? And it allows you to really sit in this feeling of like just being lost in the expansive experiences of this life and what you can experience from it. And then you realize, you know, my intention, the way that I spend my moment is actually much more valuable now that I'm relating to time in these ways. And I can sit with people, I can have conversations, I can take my time. Not everything is like, you know, in a transactional way, is this beneficial to me in X, Y, and Z? Does it, but you know, there's none of that. So you're actually getting to meet experiences and moments and times and people in a way that feels raw. And sometimes it's because of your interaction, or at least for me, my interaction of engaging things in that way, that allows me to realize, oh, I was meant to meet this person. I was meant to cross paths with this person. I was meant to be here at this specific time. I was meant to be a few minutes late. I was meant to stay a little bit longer. Oh, when that happened, I see why that did, because otherwise I would have never, you know? And I feel like it's beautiful because you let go at that point and realize, oh, I don't have to be the one steering the boat. I can just like imagine for myself what I want. But the making of the how, that's not your job. That's when like, you let God do that. Those of you who say God, let God do that. Universe, let the universe do that, you know? And let yourself get like engulfed in the mysteries of life. You know, I feel like that's when life is a lot juicier. I don't have to know everything. I feel like when I let go of that idea of like, I don't have to know everything. I don't have to have everything figured out. I could just be pleased and satisfied and happy in the moment right now. And sometimes I feel more contained and whole and centered when I am lost than when I feel like I'm actually on time or like I have structure. And I think that was me being honest about my own natural rhythm as an African, though, you know, and realizing this is not how we related to time. And I have less guilt now of like, I'm somewhere, maybe time went a little bit over, but did we really go over, or did we really have a beautiful moment where we got to talk things out? We got to go over that. We laughed really hard. We shared a meal, you know? And in a way, this is allowing me to regain my humanity back in life and to really meet people in a humane way, meet moments, meet experiences, meet opportunities in a humane way, by allowing myself to be lost in the journey and not really have it figured out. Because who really has it figured out? You know, that's the other thing. Who really has it figured out? Like, I sit here and I'll be like, point to one person who really got it figured out. They will tell you, no, I just look like I do, but I really don't. So all of it is a facade. The one who's actually winning and succeeding is the one not pretending like they got it figured out. Is the one actually saying, I really don't know, but I'm loving the journey. Those people I admire. I really do. And they make life so fun to be around. Like, they don't overthink shit. There's nothing really to overthink. There's nothing, you know. And that's why I said a lot of us want the destination but don't want to get lost. And then it's like if you actually gave into just being lost, you would feel less lost, you know. And I don't know, like, it is very important that I do acknowledge living in a world where the world on a broader scale doesn't operate on my own ancestral clock. I don't even know if that's a thing, but I'm about to say that it's an ancestral clock. Like, how you think all of a sudden I'm gonna move to the according of like Western time when I'm the first generation here, and I'm adaptive. Like, the skill set that also my ancestors have allowed me to adapt in a way where I can function in both worlds, but understanding and being mindful of that in the journey makes it or breaks the experience. And when there was times where I didn't understand, there were times in my life where I didn't understand of like, oh, my body's asking to be on the rhythm of my ancestors and how we related to time and space. And maybe you can use some skill sets that they've passed down to be able to analyze and incorporate and adapt to both worlds. But I think it's also very important that you honor your ancestors' rhythm too. And you're in season with it. Like I'm not. I can't like right now. I'm not gonna sit here and expect myself to have a million things going on for me because in a winter I go outside and I'm like, bro, there's nothing going on for the trees either. They're just plain as me, just chilling. Like just chilling. We already shed what we needed to let go in fall. I shed with the trees. And then springtime comes. Oh, everything I've been cultivating in the winter season it's blossoming. Oh, well, what's my affirmation with that? I look outside, the trees are blossoming. That's being in rhythm with life, you know? And I feel like that way, a lot of people will be like, yeah. I think another thing that a lot of people will struggle with, because also I struggled with this, was like when you move in a time that's outside of the clock or outside of the rhythm of Western rhythm, which is like what's structured for us. But I moved more into like my ancestors' rhythm and African rhythms of time and space and relating to those things. I also like a lot of people would be like, well, what affirms my successes then? You know, because when you're like following the Western clock or like traditional social clock. It's like, well, yeah, my accomplishments are when I graduate, when I get married, when I have a baby, when I got the promotion. That's what defines a lot of our success and like, oh, that we're on the right path. But when you choose a different life outside and you're saying, I'm willing to explore this life and just be lost, I noticed that sometimes it's harder for people to be on that route because they don't feel like there's nothing to affirm them back. But it's like that's when you set your own milestones. That's when you set your own definitions of what success looks like for you. And honestly, somebody brave enough to take that path will be like, I'm brave enough to also realize what my wins are and self cultivate my own wins. And sometimes if you don't, it's important that you make time for that. Like when you're accomplished something, you felt like, oh, that was my own way of forming my own school. And I felt like I graduated with this. Have your own graduation, you know, have your own graduation. But the other thing that I realized affirms back to me that I'm on the right path and that you know, my ducks are in a row in line is life. When you're in season with the rhythm of life, life reflects back to you. Life validates you back. Like I said, right now, when I'm in a moment where I'm like, okay, I don't feel like I'm doing enough right now. Well, Flo, look at outside. What season is winter? Is anything blossoming right now? No, everything's hibernating, everything's resting, everything's recouping. That's what you need to do. I sit my ass back down. I say, you're right. When then, you know, spring and summer come around, well, look around. Everything is blossoming. The things you've been cultivating in the winter, where are they now? Oh, they're blossoming. They're taking off. They're sprouting. The seeds have sprouted. New leaves are growing. Winter, fall time comes. Well, we've done a lot over the years. What are we purging? What are we letting go? What are we shedding? And then you shed that process. And the trees are doing it with you. Nature's doing it with you. Life is doing it with you. And when you're in a moment of forgetness, where you forget where you are or why you're doing this, you can always look outside. And life's going to reflect that back to you, you know? And I feel like that's the beauty of also like letting who you are, what you are, and where you come from guide you. Because sometimes that's what drives that boat. And like I said, when you do that internal work and you really hone in who you are from the inside and you have your strong whys and what drives you, you are unbreakable. You're unshatterable. You know, you're like a tree with a thick trunk who's rooted in that ground. That no matter what type of wind comes or how powerful it is, it's hard to sway that tree. The branches might swing with you, but it's never gonna move out of its root. You know, you gotta base yourself in your root. Sometimes you gotta really like just lay low, be in hermit mode a little bit, cultivate like yourself from the inside and really plant those roots really deep into those grounds that no matter what comes your way, you allow yourself to move with it and move with that flow, but you're unmovable on the on a root level. Like your foundation is strong, it's solid. And when you're able to do that, you're able to also move and flow in whatever way that you want, because there's no fear of what if I lose myself, you know, what if this doesn't work out. Somebody who knows themselves, they don't worry about that. They're like, I already know what I'm myself, what I'm capable of, how I can execute this and what I bring to the table, and I can execute this because I know myself. Yeah. And for the ones that be like, well, I don't know myself. Well, yeah, that's why you let yourself get lost. If the point of getting lost sometimes is you don't know where the journey is going to take you. And I think that's one thing I love about life when I've accepted that route, was I will tell life, I don't want to do this because I don't know if I have the skill set. I don't know if I'm ready to just live a life where I don't know what's going on and it's unpredictable. And then life goes, okay, well, I'm going to give you experiences to shape you, to mold you into somebody who has the skill set to then feel ready. But you got to also let yourself surrender to that experience. You know, sometimes the things coming your way may not be the end goal, but they're the things shaping you to become the person you need to be to get to that end goal. And when you just let yourself flow and be and not control things, you'll realize, wow, I've had many great teachers who taught me a lot of amazing things. Like sometimes, bro, my greatest teachers were random people on the street that I've had a conversation, somebody that I met, because I was willing to be open and have these experiences. And I don't know, I think that's one thing I really love about myself is I don't think I don't think and see the world with just these eyes. Like, you have to see with your higher eye, your higher, like, senses and feeling. People be like, your third eye. But, like, I also walk around and live in the world with the understanding of, like, you really don't know who your teacher is. It could be an animal, it could be a pet, it could be anything, you know? But if you're open to the experience, you realize, oh, there's so much to learn about the world and about people. And it doesn't have to just be taught in the classroom. Like, I've learned, bro, I've learned the most amazing things about this world and people just by being open and just being like, oh, like, I want to learn, like, whatever. And letting the journey just take me, you know? And sometimes it feels like you might be all over the place, but it's like, whose journey is actually one that makes sense and is in place? Like, our lives are all over the place. And anybody who says, oh, your life looks like it's all over the place, I'm like, girl, what about you? Let's act like you perfect over there. Like, everybody's life is messy. It's not going to make sense. And honestly, like, I oppose the traditional route. Like, so something else got to give, you know? Something else got to shake. But yeah, I hope you be courageous for yourself too, to just be like, I'm going to wing this. Like, all I need to know is what I love, who I am. And if you don't know that, maybe go discover that. Maybe the journey is discovering that. And if you're young, bro, that is the point. Like, in the early stages of my life, like maybe since I was like 19, now I'm 26, it's not about establishing things, it's about discovering. A lot of us skip to discover, a lot of people skip to establishment and then jump over the discovery. Like, you're so young, figure out yourself, discover yourself first, get to know yourself. And then you can go like create things. But sometimes creating the structure without knowing what the foundation is gonna cultivate very unstable foundations. So make sure that rooting, that ground that you're rooting is stern and you understand what you're cultivating. Because also, it's just like a plant. You need to understand what you're planting to know how to take care of it. But if you just plant whatever and be like, oh, I think it's just this, and then you take care of it in a way that's not it, and then you expecting the roots to be strong and firm and really in that soil and grow, it's just not going to work, you know? So you got to know what you're planting, but to know that means knowing yourself. You know, if you're the root that you need to lay down, you need to know yourself. But most people don't want to do that. And then they just want to go cultivate and build shit. And then they come across people who know themselves, and it's just kind of like, well, it's not going to work because you don't know yourself, you know? And everything in life is going to be harder when you don't know yourself. It's harder to cooperate, collaborate, negotiate, fucking market, understand. Like, everything is just going to be so much harder. And it's not going to be in alignment. It's not going to make sense. And it's not going to have a blueprint, you know, of your own essence. So, yeah, that's a little shenanigan on that. I've been on the roll making videos today. I've just been sharing my thoughts. But yeah, well, this is a video on a lot of us want the success, but not a lot of us want to get lost. So embrace the journey of being lost, y'all. Like, don't be fearful. Don't let rational, small thinking ideas stop you. Like, if I did, there have been so many things I would have not discovered or explored or seen or learned in life that really have shaped me to have higher states of consciousness and understanding of the world and things, and it makes you less fearful too. You know, the only time we're fearful is because we're not willing to know more. But when you know more, you realize, oh, you don't know shit. Somebody, I swear to God, a true learner knows they don't know shit. Like, I don't walk around thinking I know everything. I actually walk around thinking I don't know shit. Like, because if I walk around thinking I know everything, I'm never gonna learn anything. That's why most of the time it's like, no, I actually have a lot to say, but I stay quiet because it's like, there's nothing I'm gonna learn from just regurgitating what I already know. When I feel in the moment is my time to share, maybe what I need to share is useful to other people, then I share. But most of the time I'm like, no, I'm here to listen and learn. Like, I'm here to listen and learn because I'm forever a student. I'm open, and I realize that I swear to God, in every experience, I need to be open to learning because every moment has the power to teach me. Every person has the power to teach me. Everything has the power to teach me. Even objects have power to teach me things, you know, if we're open to it and we're willing to see things in that depth. You start to understand things and have more respect for things in a deeper way too. But yeah, that's my little shenanigans.